to True Niagen, a supplement specifically designed to boost a key cellular resource called NAD. That's short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And I was really impressed with the research that showed that increased NAD levels can promote cellular repair, maintain healthy mitochondria, and increase energy throughout the trillions of cells in our body. I've been taking True Niagen ever since, and I am truly persuaded, which is why I'm so excited to welcome them back to the program. Let's get into how True Niagen works. From age 40 to 60, humans can experience a 50% decline in NAD, leaving our cells with a shortage of that incredibly valuable energy resource. Additionally, things like immune stress, poor diet, even alcohol consumption can all deplete our cell NAD levels. Research suggests that increased NAD can support cellular defense against these physiological stressors. True Niagen is designed to boost NAD levels and is backed by clinical research and regulatory approvals. Now, while the research is still evolving, I am truly impressed by the possibilities surrounding NAD and the research behind True Niagen. And I suggest you check out their information for yourself. To learn more about the research, science, and to order your supply of True Niagen supplement, visit drdrew.com/TrueNiagen and use the code DREW at checkout for a special discount on orders of 3 bottles or more. So that's my website, drdrew.com/TRUNIAGEN, and use the code DREW today.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Welcome in, everybody. Thank you to our friends from True Niagen. I am an adopter. I've been taking it for a couple of years now, and there's some evidence that running into that NAD system is helpful in reducing the risk for coronavirus, so I've actually upped my dose of that stuff. So, hi, GIna. Seeing all you guys pile in here. Appreciate it very much. Amanda, thank you. I'm going to give you guys a bit of an update in a minute on the COVID situation, but I want to welcome my guest first. Also, I've got a contest coming soon for t-shirts, everybody, that's coming. I'll give you that at the break. Hi, Deanna from Atlanta.
So we have GIna Grad on the line.
GIna Grad, the great GIna Grad from the Corolla Enterprise. Hey there.
Hi, as you know, I love both of you, and I'm so happy to be invited. Thank you so much.
GIna, how are you making it through this thing?
You know, I'm in a really weird position because like many of you, and, I'm in Los Angeles, which is, a bit of a hot spot. And, we have fairly strict orders around here compared to some other places in the country. Like, for instance, I'm from Kansas, and I don't think it's affecting my mom and her friends as much as it's affecting us. And you go outside and you are absolutely mask shamed if you're just walking to the mailbox and you don't have anything on your covering your mouth and nose. And also, I spend my entire day reporting the news. I do it on the Adam Carolla Show, who has very specific feelings about maybe of overreaction.
What are you talking about?
Of the community. And then I go to my sort of hard-nosed news job at KFI AM 640, and I deliver the stats and the numbers all night. And so I'm sort of inundated with numbers and information all day.
Yeah.
And instead of being able to really take it in and ingest it, I think I've built this sort of protective wall around myself. So I don't really feel right now.
Well, so you're numb. Yeah, you're numb, but you also get to keep working, right? I mean, all your jobs are kind of still rolling along.
Yes.
So the future looks the same for you, which is pretty good. But for everybody else, the future looks...
And we definitely talk about that on the show where, everyone is saying, stay home, do this for the community, don't go to work. The people who are telling you to stay home are being paid. And they're at work telling you to stay home.
That's right. Without businesses that they've striven to eke out their entire, God knows, maybe decades, employees they're responsible for, customers they're responsible. I mean, there's just so many layers to this. And there is the countervailing concern about safety and whatnot, obviously. So here's something I want to get into with you, GIna. So Len on the thread here, I'm watching the restream while you and I are talking. So if I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking down at you guys and your comments. Where is Len? I saw he had a great comment because last night I went off a little bit on the Fox 11 show.
I see it.
Okay, what's his name?
Love what you said regarding the media headlines last night on Fox 11. You're absolutely right.
What's Len's name? What's Len's name?
Len Duren.
Len Duren. Thank you, Len. And so last night, GIna, I was, some other headline came up, and I was like, this is not true. I know what it was. Susan, read the headline about the L.A. County. Those of you who are not from L.A. County.
Which one? The LA Times?
The L.A. Times headline. This has consumed Los Angeles for the last 36 hours.
Okay.
Go ahead. Here's the headline. This is the headline on the, I'm sure it's above the fold. I don't know it's above the fold.
Of course, I was sending it to you.
This was also in headlines in all of the news outlet locally and the newspapers, and here it is. Here's the headline.
14,000 likes, too. Okay.
Here's the headline.
LA Times. Breaking: Los Angeles County stay-at-home orders will, with all certainty, be extended for the next 3 months, Los Angeles Public Health Director Barbara Ferreira acknowledged during a board supervisors that I can't read today.
Okay, she
meeting
said
on Tuesday.
The point is, she said nothing of the kind. She did nothing of the kind, and so the board of supervisors had to go on a explanation tour for the next 24 hours saying, no, she meant the following. She meant that we're going to keep recommending stay at home if you can, but we're going to start loosening and opening up immediately. Effective immediately, the restaurants are even going to start opening up to some degree here locally. So, GIna, did you report on that?
We not personally, no. And, KFI is sort of known for really doing your due diligence. So we were, we definitely looked into this. And that's the thing. All we are is the megaphone. We're the messenger. We're reporting what these daily press conferences are saying. But when the press conferences don't know what they're saying, we don't necessarily know how to report it. So we really do have to be extra careful. And this did create a little bit of an S-storm with the media yesterday, because we just want to get the information out there, but we can't get the information out there correctly if they can't agree on it.
Well, I would be hard pressed to imagine you would put out a headline like that, especially if you were not clear what they had said. And so the point is, she said nothing of the kind. And the breathless running to the printing presses or the microphones to issue headlines. Let me give you a couple more. Susan, give me another one. The reason we got into this conversation about headlines is, I've been complaining about it. I started complaining about it back when I was on Daily Blast Live in like February, and I was just telling to the press to shut up. They're going to make a panic. They're going to make this worse. And that's exactly what happened. And now they are trying to perpetuate it. When they don't have a headline that sounds horrible, they go to Killer Hornets. They go to Killer Hornets. That's how desperate they are for panic porn. Bill Maher pointed this out. So Susan started waking up in the morning, like I would hear her like every morning reading the headlines, and then she'd had enough. After weeks of her going, oh my God. I said, read the story. Read the story.
I was like clicking on it.
So she exceeded her ability to tolerate this, and then it became a thing for her. I was already collecting.
Here's an interesting one. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So, Fauci was on yesterday in his office, and he's been isolated, and he says, we don't have COVID-19 under control. He also spoke for like an hour. Okay. And then I had to scroll down on the article all the way to the very, very bottom, and it says, Fauci agreed that all evidence so far indicates that people should not be able to be infected a second time, though he cautioned it will take 2 years to confirm that belief. And I asked this yesterday.
So what was the headline?
It was, we don't have COVID-19 under control, but it's...
So the headline should be, Fauci cautious, but assures everyone that they're likely to be immune for at least a year. That's the headline.
Yes. But
that's
what
it should be.
Paragraph. The rest of it was just a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
That is the headline. He testified for 4 hours. I listened to a lot of it, and he was very reassuring. He was very cautious, very conservative, as he always is. He did not say things are coming to there's some horrible, horrible future ahead for us, as they tried to make it seem. Give me another one, Susan.
Okay, here's a good one. U.S. coronavirus deaths near 80,000 as mysterious new symptoms appear. I clicked on that one. Mysterious new symptoms. Yes. What are those, Drew?
Was that the Kawasaki
I think
thing?
I've heard every new symptom. No, there was nothing in the article about it.
Perfect.
I mean,
so here's the deal. They shouldn't be reporting on clinical phenomenon. This whole thing about Kawasaki syndrome, Doctors need to worry about that. The press shouldn't even be reporting on it. These are rare exotica that are keeping us scratching our head trying to understand this illness. These are not headlines. These are rare conditions that doctors need to prepare for should they come across it.
It might be the Kawasaki thing, but that was months ago, right? That was not even.
It's been happening for a while. So here we are. So give me another headline. I mean, they're just one after the other.
I didn't have a lot of time to put this together.
Well, Susan, as you look for a headline, I can just chime in and say all you doctors know each other, right?
Of course.
We have a doctor on. He was on every night. Now he's on twice a week on the Tim Conway Jr. show, named Dr. Ray Kashari. He's a pulmonologist, and he's because he studies the lungs, he has a lot of great insight on this, and very, very clear about what he's seen and what how he feels about it. And his big thing right now is, vitamin D. They're seeing that a lack of vitamin D is not good when it comes to this sort of thing. I'm sorry.
Right. That's a nice headline for people because it's news you can use. Take 5,000 units or 10,000 units of vitamin D every day. Take some vitamin C. Take some zinc. All good. All good.
Boring.
Right. And because guess what gives us vitamin D? The sun.
Right.
Get outside, absorb that vitamin D. So when they say hunker down, shelter in place, stay in your home, you're actually not giving yourself the benefit of being able to make it through this.
GIna, let me read another study to you that for some reason didn't hit the headlines. Here we go. This was a study in China. They figured out, they looked at large outbreaks. They filtered it down to 318 outbreaks that encompassed over 1,200 confirmed cases of COVID in 120 cities, okay? The location of the outbreaks were divided into 6 categories: home, transportation, food, entertainment, shopping, and miscellaneous. 80% occurred in the home. 34% occurred in a transportation setting, like a train or imagine an elevator. Most of the home outbreaks, where they were isolated in the home, created 3 to 5 cases. They were only able to find one outbreak that took place in an outdoor environment, and that involved 2 cases. So if you're outdoors, you don't get a full outbreak. You get 1-to-1 transmission, and that's once out of 318 outbreaks. So where should you be spending your time, GIna? What does that suggest?
Sounds like we're better off outside.
Sounds like we're better off at the beach, doesn't it? Wow. Well, good thing our government in California has locked the beaches so we can't go outdoors.
Well, they're letting us exercise on the beach now.
Oh, for 4 hours in Laguna. Fantastic.
But that doesn't necessarily mean the parking lots are open. So it's just if you have a house on the water.
Exactly.
Well, because you want to discourage people from going to an environment where they might likely not get this virus, where they might do well. You want to discourage that. GIna, I'm copying and pasting this and sending it to you right now so you can bring it up to Mr. Tim Conway Jr.
Thank you.
I want to tell you what was trending today, though, right before the show, because I thought I'd look up and see if there was anything else that I could add to this little collage. And I don't know if anybody clicked through on this, but if you did, let us know on Restream. Chicago area woman is mauled to death by her adopted French bulldog. She loved that animal. I did not click on it. Okay? And then that was right under Ellen DeGeneres is reportedly at the end of her rope amid rumors that she's mean. She's a little mean, I have to say.
How dare you?
I met her
Poor
once.
Ellen. Ellen, I feel bad for. I actually feel very bad for Ellen because.
But how can you not love Ellen DeGeneres?
Right, and I feel bad for her because she's being. And how does she respond to it? She can't respond. She just anything she says, they turn against her. I feel bad for her.
Well, we've been attacked recently. I know how it feels.
Dr. Drew,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can't tell me with a straight face that you haven't heard Adam Carolla's take on Ellen DeGeneres.
Of course, I've heard Corolla talk about dancing and anybody who dances, and I've heard that the set is not a happy place, but I don't know that she's the reason for that. So for her to personally be attacked for it is somewhat suspect. But so there we are. So that's the world we live in right now.
But I love GIna.
I love stuff like this.
What are you doing? You can't.
Remember when I told someone I loved cocaine, Susan? Can you imagine? I mean, remember that? Can you remember that?
I know.
Fantastic. And GIna, didn't I tell you that too, that I love cocaine? Did you mention that?
No, this is breaking. I'm going to report this. Is
You
this
should
reportable?
report it. You should report it because I'm deeply involved with that drug.
I got to witness him on cocaine once, and that was the last time. It was
that will
like
never
Woody
happen
Allen
again.
on cocaine. He thought he was going to die. He couldn't do it anymore because he was a doctor. He couldn't be around people who were doing it. Everybody had to make sure that they hid their cocaine when Drew came over. This was in the 80s when we were still in our 20s. And he was like, he's so neurotic. I was like, this is not your drug, okay?
By the way, that was when she broke up with me. Right after that, it was not what you call.
No,
it cool.
you broke up with me.
But anyway, listen. Let's go back. Let me go back to these guys and the thread here.
But he came back.
So I wanted to I wanted to talk more about these headlines and how disturbing they are and how dangerous they are and how much they're hurting people. They need to shut up. I'm back to the same thing I was saying before. These headlines are harming people and they need to be somehow held accountable for it. And the only way I guess we can respond as a public is just not consume the news. Mm-hmm. We have to find other ways than these people that publish all these headlines that are so problematic. So I don't know.
Well,
GIna.
and that was the crazy thing about the Murder Hornets, because I mean, that came up, and I think we all just collectively started laughing because it seemed like the 10 plagues. And when you go, oh my God, the Murder Hornets are here. Well, what does it mean that they're here? It means that one may have been spotted near the Canadian border.
Right.
And that means the Murder Hornets are here.
Right.
I mean, you just can't help but laugh.
And somebody was talking to an entomologist who said they're not very dangerous to humans. There is other stuff that's way more problematic coming down. And you know, that's the problem, which is that they try to turn everything into a story. And some things are not stories, some things are explanations, some things are phenomena. And if you turn everything into a story, you distort things. And it really is just getting to be to the point where this is another source of trouble for us, in that they then are become a phenomena that manipulates the government too. And I feel like some of our leaders aren't free to use their judgment. Well, so what do you think about how Governor Newsom has done on this so far?
Just in general with the phases and the restrictions?
Yeah. How do you think it's been?
I mean, I feel like since I'm still gainfully employed, I almost have to recuse myself. But I feel like, you know, it's one of these, nobody knows what this is. Nobody's experienced this before. And think every day we learn so much more than we knew the day before. So a month ago, while we're scrambling and trying to figure out what this is, how it's transmitted, who dies from it, who doesn't even know they have it, you kind of just got to lock everything down and regroup. And I get that. I totally understand. If I'm having a personal trauma, I do the same thing. So I imagine on a macro level, you just kind of, everybody stop.
Well, let's put it this way.
And let's get this figured out.
I could imagine being in a leadership position and feeling as though whatever I did, it ought to be, for the moment, the safest thing possible. So when Newsom, predicted 28 million cases and 4 million dead in California, and can we please have the mercy ship here? I thought, all right, he's preparing for the worst case scenario. And when he shut it down, I said it will work. It will make things better, and let's all get on board with this. I'm having trouble with the continuation of it in the name of science, and the reality is epidemiology is it's not a hard science. It's mathematical modeling, and no one can predict the future any more than they can predict the weather, or then they can predict how markets are going to behave. It's the same thing with viruses. We can just sort of kind of know where it's going. And the University of Washington, the group that I report to you guys on all the time, is the best example I know of keeping track of things and doing a good job with this. But it's a guess as much as anything. It's an educated guess based on some mathematical modeling. And to not look at alternative ideas is putting your head in the sand. Science is about challenging and refining and challenging and refining. That's science. Science isn't saying, that's my man, whatever that dude or that gal says, I'm going with that. Right. That's not science. And so there unfortunately is no evidence yet that lockdown, and I've said this many times, is superior to social distancing and wearing a mask. In fact, if there were any,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead, GIna.
No, go ahead. I was just thinking, during, the protests and people going and crowding, public buildings and, crowding even the beach or, the city hall and wanting to, get rid of all the lockdowns and the shelter in place. I think the point would be much more effectively made if while you're protesting, you're wearing a face covering and you're standing 6 feet apart, because then, the powers that be understand that you're saying, look, we get it. We're taking precautions, but not letting us go kite surfing is insane.
It's insane.
So if their compromise is there and the rationality is there, then I think your point is better made.
That and, there's constitutional overreach here, and you have to be really careful with what he's doing. I mean, this is not how our Constitution is set up in the state of California. And I understand you're going for safe, and I understand you're following direction, and I really supported him most of the way through, but they're just, again, look at Georgia. Georgia is an experiment. It's not really a scientific experiment because we're not controlling it, we're not blinding and all that kind of stuff. But it is an observational study where a state opened up in the worst possible moment. They as they were going up, they barely plateaued, they opened up. And you would expect this. Here's what you got. That. Maybe that's some evidence that the lockdown, and again, the Chinese study, which I just pointed out to you, where of 318 outbreaks, they were predominantly in the home, 1 in the out of doors. Maybe out in this open space is a little better for us, or at least not significantly worse. That needs a little bit.
And isn't that why flu season and cold season is in the winter, because we're all scrunched together in our houses?
One of the theories. There's also something about the virus in the winter too. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to sort of to not be hubristic about this, and not to be so, what should we say? Don't be quite. I understand you got hard decisions to make. I get it, and I support them and the challenges they have, but not to be so hubristic about it, and to be a little bit circumspect, and to let small regions that have 0 cases, counties that have 0 cases, begin to experiment a little bit and see if they can get by with it. And then, so here's I want to tell you a study here. Shoot, I don't know if I have the article, but there was an article that was really I printed an article too that was really problematic to me. It essentially said, oh crap.
I think GIna has to go.
I know you're going to go, but essentially the headline was,
no, that's okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
I had it. It was that, countries are, as they open up, they're having to crack down again. And I read the article, and the article said, when you really read what the doctors were saying, they were saying, yeah, we're having some little outbreaks here and there, and we got them. It's nothing like that. We got it. It was absolutely a reassuring article. Yet the headline was, as countries try to open, outbreaks surge. And it was like, no. The doctors are saying, hey, no, this is nothing like the initial outbreak. We've got these little outbreaks. We got them under control. We're going to get them. Don't worry.
Murder Hornets.
And, yeah, it was back to Murder Hornets. So anyway, GIna, as always, a pleasure to talk to you. What shall we promote here?
I love you. I'm so happy that you guys invited me. I love you both so much. Adam Carolla Show every single day. We do that. And of course, you can hear me on the iHeartRadio app, KFI AM 640 every night from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And once a week, I do a show with my good buddy and someone who loves you dearly, Teresa Strasser. We have a podcast called Easy Listening. It's a podcast about podcasts.
Nice.
And I'm just so thrilled to join you, and I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Really quick before you go, when we started the show, I clicked on all the restreams for all the different platforms.
Yeah.
And Periscope didn't pick up at the beginning. They came right at the end of GIna's interview. So if you want to hear our whole interesting interview, go to youtube.com/Dr. Drew to get the beginning of the interview. It was actually pretty good. But those are just for Periscope.
And a big thank you to Dr. Drew, who's the reason that me, and I'm sure a lot of Adam Carolla Show listeners, had ever heard the name Dr. Fauci. You were the first person that ever mentioned that name and put him on our radar. Now, of course, he's a household name. But you said, if you want to know what's going on, follow Dr. Fauci. And we said, "Who's that?" And now, of course, we can't imagine a life without him on our TVs
he
every
is
day.
the reason I got in radio. Do you know that? Did I tell you this?
Wow, no.
Yeah, he is the reason I got in radio. He was
That's
encouraging.
amazing.
I was working with AIDS patients. I was deep in the AIDS epidemic, and he was sort of our leader then. And he was saying, you got to educate. We're going to have 10 million dead. We're going to have 10 million dead. You got to get out there. You got to educate. They got to change their behavior. And so when I had a chance to get on the radio, I went on the radio and was shocked that no one was talking to young people about HIV. Well, we didn't have HIV yet. We just stopped calling it GRIDS and started calling it AIDS, and we had the HTLV3 virus back then. That's how we categorized it. HTLV3, if you remember, human T-cell lymphotropic virus type 3, and became coalesced into HIV. So anyway, that's the reason I got on radio. I thought I was doing community service to talk to young people about this thing that no one was talking to them about, much to my amazement. So thanks, GIna.
God bless him.
Well, you're welcome. I can't wait to see you in person again so I can show you this thing on my elbow and make sure it's not contagious.
Right. Can't wait.
I always make Drew look at something and go, does that look weird? All right, bye, guys. Thanks for everything.
She said her elbow.
Yes, it's all no. She's very reasonable about stuff. Okay, so shall we take a break or go straight to the?
I don't know. Let's play our ad again.
Okay, we'll play the ad and
no, let's not. Let's go straight into. People have been very nice on. I feel bad about Periscope, but I said,
I will just tell you that I'm a big fan of True Niagen. I take it, and I think it helps with cell senescence. So apoptosis and senescence may be diminished with aging. It reduces aging.
Well,
vitamin D there's a lot of correlation with high vitamin D levels in COVID. So please do take vitamin D supplementation. I will tell you that it's hard to get vitamin D levels up. It's not just about the sunshine, but talk to your doctor about that. I also take some vitamin C, about 1,000 milligrams, and about 50 milligrams or so of zinc. You can also check that out. Again, talk to your doctor about that. There's some evidence that those things may be helpful. But the biggest thing is if you have a lot of central adipose tissue, man, look at those people that are dying of this thing. They all have that. They're hypertensive, insulin resistant, hyperlipidemic, maybe phospholipid syndrome, antiphospholipid syndrome, and the central weight. That is the big issue. May
I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
For children,
yes,
it would affect the heavier kids, right?
I have seen that in adolescence. I can't say that in childhood per se.
Like they showed a picture of the kid with Kawasaki's, and he one of them looked a little bit.
That might have been
healthier.
The older kids. That might have been the old. I don't know. Again, because I'm not a pediatrician, but Kawasaki is it's a classic childhood complication of viruses. And so, guess what? This virus is doing the same thing. Not a big surprise. It's unfortunate. It's one of the other ways that children can get hurt by this thing. All right, so T-shirt giveaway ready, everybody? This is
okay. Show them the Dr. Drew After Dark.
There's this one as well. You'll have a choice. Susan will call the winner. She will call the winner, and she has decided that what I'm going to do is talk about a disease and a medicine. That's what she's asked me to do.
Yes.
So this disease is regionally common in the sort of Pacific, and particularly in the northern areas, little off the coast. It's caused by Rickettsia rickettsii, marked by high fevers, prostration, a rash that involves the palms. It's a relative of typhus, which we had here recently in Southern California, which is a rat-transmitted illness. This one is transmitted by ticks, particularly hard ticks. Dermacentor americanus is the classic transmitter of this condition. It is not Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a different tick. It's not the hard ticks. Rickettsia rickettsii, no, not Lyme disease. It is causes, again, the rash is diffuse and morbilliform. It sort of tends to hit the palms. It's not like erythema chronica migrans. It's diffuse throughout the body. It is not typhoid. Typhus is a relative. Typhoid is caused by salmonella bacterium. Somebody's almost got it. You got to write it out fully, though, for me to... Kristen got it. RMSF, Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. Kristen S. Susan, that is our winner. She got to choose. And Angela, sorry you missed it by a hair. But Kristen S. got it, and she needs to email Susan. You want to give her directions what to do?
Okay, I'm going to type it in. Email to drdrew.com/contact and give me your address, the size you want, whether you would prefer to have the Dr. Drew After Dark t-shirt or You Shouldn't Prolapse Your Anus by Dr.
Congratulations.
Drew. And everybody likes that one better, but, you have a choice, your size, and also you get some Hydrolyte as well. So if you tell us what flavor you like, we'll send that
And
as well.
I'm going to ask you about a medication. So you have another chance to win in just a second. The Hydrolytes, you specify your flavor. Raspberry, lemon, orange. It's good stuff. I know I've seen some competitors emerge lately. This stuff is the best. Carrie, I see your question about the Imuran. Anybody on immune modulatory agents we are concerned about. But it's not a specific risk factor. But it is obviously that, obviously if you have immune suppression, we worry about you getting in trouble with this thing. Okay, so the other question is a medication. So this medication has been in the news a little bit. It is important. It has been something that I talked about in a couple podcasts and streams in terms of its use in the treatment of COVID. It's an immunosuppressive drug, designed for rheumatoid arthritis and juvenile arthritis in children. It's a monoclonal antibody against something in the cytokine system. If I tell you what, it will give it away immediately. It's a monoclonal antibody, and it's not interferon, it's not remdesivir. Remdesivir is an antiviral that affects the RNA replication. This is a monoclonal antibody. Let me see if I can give you any other clues.
That's a tough one. I've never seen that word before.
It's tough. You're probably going to have to look it up. All right, so I'm going to give you more hints. Let me give you guys a couple more seconds to cytokine storms, cytokine cascade, and this medication goes by two different names, and it specifically is a monoclonal antibody directed. Okay, it's direct. I'm going to tell you more, and this gives it away. It's directed at IL-6, interleukin 6. It's one of the interleukin. It goes directly at the cytokine system that way. Dr. Yadigar, who I spoke to, talked about using this medication.
It starts with a T.
It starts with a T. Its other name has an A.
Okay, we're going to give a hint.
It's all right. It's
okay.
you guys are going to have... It's not Enbrel. I don't think Enbrel is a different kind of a thing. IL-6 inhibitors. So just look up IL-6 inhibitors. And
they're Googling now. You're allowed to Google now.
It is Randy, an IL-6 inhibitor, but I already gave that away. I'm asking. There it is. I got it. George got it. George got it. So George is our winner. George Clark. Oh, no, wait a minute. Stefan got it before George. I'm sorry, George.
Stefan.
There it is up there. Stefan P.
Where's Stefan?
Stefan P 203 actually got it before. Oh, no. Tony got it before Stefan.
All right.
I beg your pardon, everybody. Tony.
Let's give all three of them a T-shirt.
All right, all three win. Okay, good. We gave you a tough one. So Tony
at the same time.
And George
Clark
and Stefan P. all have to send us their address and phone number and whatever.
Yeah, so
This is a hard one.
Go to drdrew.com.
Sorry, Liz, we already got our three winners. We're softies here. Butch.
I know. I'm going to send out all the T-shirts.
Kyle, you got it, but you got it late. Somebody else got it there. So
I need your address, your size, and which shirt you want.
Professor Anthrax. Yes, Pepcid has shown some interesting utility, 40 milligrams a day or so. So people are wondering about that. It was getting a lot of heat for a few minutes, and it sort of faded in the background. So I'm guessing it doesn't do too much, but I've not seen any significant. Yeah, the famotidine or Pepcid study, you're right. I have not seen any good studies on that. Did something recently come out? It's a no-brainer. I mean, kind of why not take it if it could be of helpful? You Googled, but then you can't listen. I'm sorry about that. The drug is a IL-6 inhibitor, a monoclonal antibody directed at IL-6.
Well, if you want to buy the shirt, you can go to merchmethod.com and /Tom Segura, and then just put in Dr. Drew, and the two T-shirts pop up. The Dr. Drew After Dark is still available. I'm trying to release the You Shouldn't Prolapse Your Anus shirts too. They're somewhere. They're floating around somewhere at Merch Method. So they should be coming back.
So one of our listeners, Ashkazili, his last name, sent me to a very interesting set of studies on CCR5 inhibitors, and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's stuff going on. I'm meeting with some people this week that feel that they can. The best way I can describe it to you is they can take the way cells die and present it to the immune system as a way of. That's the simplest way I can explain it to you. As a way of modulating the immune system in response to COVID. And it looks like it's having some effect. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So, let's see. Yeah, the MapCrow, that whole video to me seemed like some interesting questions, some truth, and a whole lot of BS. So be careful with that. It seemed like a scientist who really was well down the administrative change and really did not know what the administrative personnel, the managers above her, were facing in terms of the decisions they were making. So apoptosis, Monique, just means cell deaths, essentially. Big thing is keeping white cells out of the lungs. Well, it's more complicated than that. I wish it were just that simple. The immune system is extremely complicated. It's extremely complicated. But yes, it's the dendritic cells, which are a certain kind of cell that then presents the immunological material to the T cells. And then the T cells have different ways of responding. And cytokine activation is one of those things. And the cytokine activation spirals out of control for some reason in certain people. Okay. Do I treat COVID patients with anticoagulants? I have, and it did not make any difference in the case that I did use it, unfortunately. Cell death in, no. Okay, so let's see. What else? Okay, let's go to the COVID data. So there's really not, somebody wanted to hear about Florida. There's not a lot of new on there. They've updated it as recently as May 10th. They've got material, and here we are on May 13th, so they should be updating again soon. Florida looks really good. Florida is a huge state with millions of people in it, and they right now have 662 confirmed infections. The estimated is maybe as much as 6,000, so they're suspecting as maybe as 10 times as many people are walking around with it as are being detected. The daily death rate is about 50, and it's going to sort of stretch out over the next couple of months. I think they are extrapolating that to go a couple of months because of the early opening and the late closing and that kind of stuff, which may be true unless the virus really starts to die out with the seasonality. Same thing is true as hospitalization, but it looks almost exactly the same as California. 2,200 beds needed in June. Let's look at California now and see how many we need in June. So Florida open, our beds in June are around 1,500. So we're a little less, but we're closed. That's without opening. So, I mean, is there that big an advantage to staying closed? Is 0 cases our goal, or trying to navigate reasonable risk? And then we all then get to sort of manage our own risk in response to the new environment. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's Florida is not worried at all? Well, New York only had 450. Yes, New York is going to open on Friday. Going to be in the open. I mean, California is the one that is really the last of the party. Natalie, you're saying nope about something. I don't know what. Thought on risk factors. Have another couple over for dinner. Dining outside. We have done that. We're guilty of that if that's a horrible, horrible transgression. And we kept our distance. We did not wear masks, though, I got to say. Georgia is doing fine with reopening. That is true. Pennsylvania is not looking good. Yeah, Pennsylvania is the one mystery for me right now, Butch. Thank you for bringing that up. Pennsylvania, I don't know why they're having such trouble, but they have less social distancing, but they have a lot of stuff going on. Their daily infections are about 1,200 right now, and it's not projected to go down till late June or so. Their daily deaths are again extending out, much like Florida. It looks about like Florida, and it's about similar kinds of numbers, but it's going out for a while. And then the hospital resources, what bothered me when I looked at that. If you go to mid-June with that, they're at about 1,200, they're at about 4,000 cases. So that's what I don't understand. Why are they at so many hospitalized cases? This was what it bugged me about the graphs last time I was looking at this. Now, they don't exceed their capacity, which is, again, our goal, but they have a lot. How could they have 4,000 beds needed? Sometimes the data on these graphs are off base. How could they have 4,000 beds needed? Well, they have 10,000 estimated infection around that time. So hard to know. So
Phoenix is opening up.
Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona.
Well, that makes sense. Arizona has...
it's hot out there.
It's hot, and...
that's why Vegas should open.
It's testing well, doing a lot of testing. It has only about 400 cases, maybe 10 times that many flying around. They're not sure. That's the estimated cases backing out from the death rate. Death rate went up in May for some reason from 12 to 34, and it's looking like it's going to take a while to climb down, but it's staying fairly low. This is Arizona again. The hospital resource use, not all that different than California in reality. 1,200 beds needed. Again, why did they need 1,200 beds in June if they're, let's see what their expected positive rate is. Yeah, they're only expecting there are 3,000 infections. Why would half of those need to be hospitalized? That does not make any sense at all. Yeah, there's some of this University of Washington stuff is looking a little goofy right now, and they've been very good, so I don't want to be critical. There's another thing flying around. I don't know if you guys are aware. Do I see any therapeutics being a game changer by summer? Maybe by the end of summer, but I don't know about summer necessarily because it takes a while for this stuff to get through its peer review process. Thank you, Scott, for watching that program. We're still trying to figure out how to keep that interesting. And if you have any suggestions, I will happily take them. So I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of controversy now about death certificates. And we have decided as a convention, Fox 11, Matthew, I'm a local Fox affiliate show here on Los Angeles. It's not Fox News. It's Think The Simpsons. It's on that network. Find
it on Dr. Drew, on Facebook.com/Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
There are concerns about the convention we've all agreed to that we will call a death with COVID a death of COVID. So let's say somebody has a stroke and dies, and they happen to have had evidence of COVID. That is now a COVID death. And I don't mind that. That's really primarily the result of the decision to financially support hospitals that have COVID infections. And so I get that. But I'm hearing, and if you have any evidence for this, I would like to follow it a little bit, that doctors are being pressured to put COVID on cases that are just febrile and don't have actual documentation. So, yes, that's right. Patrick, I don't think I was ever on American Dad. I was on Family Guy. Can an at-risk person be asymptomatic? Yes, I believe they can. I think anybody can be asymptomatic. And the asymptomatic group is what is being called the Achilles heel of this whole outbreak. How much to worry about that and how much to test for that. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how sports deals with this and their testing and how that testing works and how they are able to not infect everybody if they get enough testing done. Yes, somebody's asking about coagulopathies and COVID infections. There is a hypercoagulable state. People are getting blood clots. You've all heard about that Broadway actor that lost his leg. But it is not... Some people are surmising it's what's called diffuse intravascular coagulation, which it can be when people get hypotensive and septic, but there seems to be another mechanism that is not the usual activation of the clotting system. It's an antiphospholipid syndrome, which is very peculiar and doesn't respond. in normal ways to the anticoagulants.
Is that the guy that came out of the coma today?
He has been doing pretty good. I think that kid's going to do fine. I think that kid's going to do not fine, but it's going to take a long time for him to recover. But I think he has youth on his side. That is someone who would have died if he was elderly. Are false positives still a problem? Well, there are always a certain percentage of false positives. So 300, that's not necessarily a low testosterone. We don't know what calling a normal testosterone is a challenge, because the normal goes from like 150 to 800. And if your normal was 780 and now you're 300, well, that's not normal for you. But if it's always been 300, how do you document that? All you know is that you've tested it at this point in time. All right. I'm going to wrap things up. Susan, is there anything else you want to talk about on the headlines that are driving you crazy?
Well, the first half, we talked about that with GIna Grad. So if you're on Periscope, you might want to run over to YouTube and catch the first half hour. That was a cathartic moment for me. I feel so much better. And I love GIna Grad because, like she said, KFI is vetting out their bad headlines and moving them away and going towards real news. And I know that Emily Barsh, who worked with you at KBC, was going nuts last night.
And HLN.
And HLN, she was going nuts. And I didn't look at the news today, and it was actually a good thing. I was too busy trying to figure out how to make Zoom work on this machine, but it never happened. So, I just think that we need to all step back from the headlines. And I wish there was a way to call them out. And they've been very damaging to your career over the years. And being your wife, I've had to put up with a lot of stuff that's fake. And I just, we just let it go because, it's not even worth the fight half the time.
Well, when I was talking to Larry King, I got his attention when I said, Larry, you've had stories written about you. That's when you know how fake the news is, right? He was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yes, they never get it right. Yeah, that's how you know. When somebody writes a story about you, you see how much they make up. You see it. It's actually has a name. It's called Gell-Mann amnesia, okay? Gell-Mann amnesia is named after a famous physicist who realized every time he saw a story on physics in the paper, he go, oh my God, they get it so wrong. They don't get it. They don't understand. It's all false. It's all fake. And then he would go on to read the paper and assume they got everything else right. That is called Gell-Mann amnesia. They get everything wrong.
Don't believe everything you read.
And the fact that they get so much wrong and have no humility about that is what's disturbing.
Well, when we were writing the newsletter for drdrew.com, we would try to have a catchy, phrase to get people to come to the website. That's just a tactic. That's how you sell. But now we're in a time where everybody is actually sort of numbified to the
catchy
headlines.
Is one thing. Catchy is one thing.
It's
False
like if it's not
and
crazy
alarming
enough, we won't look at it.
And panic-inducing is irresponsible.
It is.
And then the stories that embed the actual headlines at the end, where the real information is that's irresponsible. I really think it is.
And our sons live with us now, so they were even mentioning it. They're like, God, this is damaging to people. It can't be good. So,
hey Phoenix, I don't know that story about Mike Tyson, but I am right now digging in deep on hallucinogenics. So I will look into that. You mean Tyson had some sort of ayahuasca or some sort of experience that changed his relation with substances or with his mood? Very interesting stuff. Yeah, Jay, Dunning-Kruger is the problem of the day. You're absolutely correct about that. Dunning-Kruger is a cognitive distortion built on incomplete knowledge. You think you know a lot, but you really don't know a lot. And that is causing chaos in the world right now. So humility, everybody. Somebody asked very early in the thread, what would I do differently as we look back on this outbreak? And humility, caution, those kinds of words I would tell myself. I wouldn't change, I don't think, any of my opinions. My opinions were sort of correct. The only opinion I got wrong was the ferociousness of this virus in certain settings. Did not know about that, but I knew the press was exaggerating and distorting what was coming out of China, and we couldn't tell what it was. I knew they were misreporting a medical story and they needed to shut up. I knew that when they were telling you that you were going to die, you weren't. You can relax for a minute while we see what's going on here. And then how they have spilled the story out. We've given you many different bizarre, distorted headlines already, and they have not been honest. They've not been honest in telling you, helping you frame an understanding of what we've been through and what's going on here. It has really been a shit show to watch. And so it's been disturbing, and I still think it's disturbing.
Well, I think we're getting by being attacked too. The doctors are all afraid to do anything at this point.
So physicians are afraid to say things like, how much immunity are you likely to get if you've been sick with the COVID? You're probably going to have a year of immunity, but nobody's willing to say that because we haven't proven that yet.
That's my favorite one right there.
And that's going to take a couple of years. But that went down as a headline, as Fauci warns no one is immune. Okay.
And the last paragraph, when you have an antibody present, it is very likely indicates a degree of protection.
That's his words.
That's the last paragraph.
That's
it was
his
like
actual words.
3-page article, and I read to the last paragraph because I learned in college that you should always read the last paragraph.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't learn that. I didn't learn that.
And also not to believe anything you read.
That I think is worthwhile. So here we are in the United States of America. We have had, let's just look at the number of cases. We get COVID tracking project.
Oh, you know what else, Drew? This is another thing. Jimmy Kimmel was attacked by the haters.
For what?
His family was because he did a spoof about Pence carrying empty boxes.
Oh, right.
And he made fun of him, and then they said, oh, that was a joke taken out of context, and then he had to apologize, and he didn't really apologize. You know, he apologized in his comedic way, which was taken as a, sarcastic apology. But now his family is being attacked. He's fearing for his life. He's worried about his safety. And I
didn't know that. I should call him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
And I know it's just that kind of thing is just so.
What is here? Adam and I want to write a book about narcissism and the mob mentality and the desire to destroy. It's literally what they did during the French Revolution. It's what the Khmer Rouge did. You guys want to be like the Khmer Rouge? Go do it. Congratulations.
I know, but
you're heroes. You're heroes for making Jimmy Kimmel hide and hire security out of fear of his life.
Right.
Khmer Rouge.
Because he's
want to be like them? Well done. Well done, everybody.
I mean, listen, he is very anti-Trump, and I understand that. It becomes a partisan problem, but still, we don't need to kill him,
Right.
Or us, or whoever.
You want to be like the Khmer Rouge? It's really incredible. Or how about during the what was the? Let's leave the Khmer Rouge as there are many examples in history of people going on murderous sprees in the name of nothing. So enjoy,
I don't agree with Jimmy Kimmel.
You're heroes.
But I don't think he deserves to be.
You're heroes. You're heroes. Okay, so let me just say, let's contextualize where we are.
I like the guy.
There have been in the United States, there are 1,300,000 positive tests out of a country of 350 million. We're doing okay. Some states less than others, some states better than others. New York, let's go to New York because I think they represented most of the positive cases. New York had, New Jersey had, looks like about 100, nearly 100,000 positive. New York had 340,000 positive. So between New Jersey and New York, there was 500,000 positive just in those two regions. Then you add in Connecticut, Massachusetts. There are regions that have struggled more than others. And you're doing better. You're doing better. We're finding our way out of this. And let's see. Let's have the courage to navigate risk, without shrinking from all risk, but navigating risk and saying that perhaps going out is not as bad as we think, or perhaps is not significantly different from sheltering in place, so-called. We will see, but we do need to behave responsibly. We need to wear the mask and social distance and all that. So, Okay, interesting. Thank you to GIna Grad today. We appreciate all your participation. Congratulations to the 4 winners today. And then Susan,
I'm going to be busy.
And we will be back tomorrow about noontime. So it'll be a bit early tomorrow. Yes? Correct? That's what my schedule says.
Okay.
All right. And yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to have a guest tomorrow, but
All right, we'll just come on board and look at the restream, and let's think about these things. Now's the time to be thoughtful. Be thoughtful, be careful, be adult, navigate risk, behave accordingly. Don't go all one way or all the other. Don't go, I'm not going to wear any mask because they're telling me to. Let's get through this. That's the reasonable thing.
And don't look at the headlines.
And or if you do look at them, send us the horrible headlines. We'd love to read the
Email
article.
them, drdrew.com/contact.
Yeah.
I didn't really put this together that well today, but I kind of pulled it together in the top of the hour. But I find this to be just so antagonizing. But I am worried about Jimmy Kimmel, and God bless his family. And I
will text him right now.
Yeah.
Or email him. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. About a year ago, I was introduced to True Niagen, a supplement specifically designed to boost a key cellular resource called NAD. That's short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And I was really impressed with the research that showed that increased NAD levels can promote cellular repair, maintain healthy mitochondria, and increase energy throughout the trillions of cells in our body. I've been taking True Niagen ever since, and I am truly persuaded, which is why I'm so excited to welcome them back to the program. Let's get into how True Niagen works. From age 40 to 60, humans can experience a 50% decline in NAD, leaving our cells with a shortage of that incredibly valuable energy resource. Additionally, things like immune stress, poor diet, even alcohol consumption can all deplete our cell NAD levels. Research suggests that increased NAD can support cellular defense against these physiological stressors. True Niagen is designed to boost NAD levels and is backed by clinical research and regulatory approvals. Now, while the research is still evolving, I am truly impressed by the possibilities surrounding NAD and the research behind True Niagen. And I suggest you check out their information for yourself. To learn more about the research, science, and to order your supply of True Niagen supplement, visit drdrew.com/TrueNiagen and use the code DREW at checkout for a special discount on orders of 3 bottles or more. So that's my website, drdrew.com/TRUNIAGEN, and use the code DREW today.